this is Erin from the Cal Maritime Makerspace. Today we'll be going over how to use TinkerCAD, a free cloud-based 3D modeling program from Autodesk. TinkerCAD is a user-friendly way to make and edit 3D models. If you're just learning how to do CAD, computer-aided design, then TinkerCAD is a great place to start. When you first open TinkerCAD.com, this is what you'll see. You need an account to use it, but it's free. For the first part of this tutorial, we'll go over how to make a 3D model from scratch. To do this, from the home page of TinkerCAD, we'll click Create a New Design. It'll open up a new project and give it a random name. This is what the general user interface looks like. You build your model on the blue grid, called the work plane. Think of this as a tabletop or 3D printer bed. Note that the default unit is in millimeters, and the grid is set to 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Let's go over the basic mouse controls. To pan around the screen, right-click and drag. To move the screen, hold down Shift while right-clicking and dragging. You can also use the cube in the top left corner to change your view. You create and edit the model using the control panels on the right and top of the screen. To add a shape, use the control panel on the right side of the screen. Scroll through and select the shape you want to use. For a quick first project, we'll make a box. Click on the shape and drag it to where you want to place it on the work plane. Use the pop-up panel to set the size. If you click and drag one of the white or black squares on the shape, the dimensions will pop up and you can type in the values you'd like. You can move the shape by clicking and dragging it. There are many additional shapes if you use the drop-down menu, but basic shapes is sufficient to start with. Grayed out shapes are considered holes. If we want to subtract from a shape we already have, we'll use one of these. For our box, we'll use another cube. You treat them just like you would a solid shape. Select a gray striped shape from the panel on the right and drag it to where you want to place it on the work plane. To make a box, we'll move a grayed out cube to the middle of the solid one and use the black cone on the top to move it up off the work plane so it won't cut all the way through the bottom. At the top right corner of the screen, there's a button we can use to make the hole perfectly centered. It's grayed out now since we only have one object selected. Select both cubes by holding down Shift and left-clicking on each object, or hit Ctrl-Alt to select everything. The Align button should now be clickable. There are 3 black dots along every edge of the cube now. Each dot corresponds to part of the shape that will be aligned. For example, the edge dots align the sides of the cubes. To make the hole centered, we'll use the middle dots along the length and width of the box. Right now, the cubes are still separate. In order to make the hole in the box, we have to merge them together or group them. As before, we select all the shapes we want to group. Now select Group from the top navigation bar. You'll see that the gray box has been cut out of the red box now. If we want to edit the shapes individually later, we'll have to ungroup them using the same process. Now we have a box! Double-click on the title in the top left corner to name your file. TinkerCAD auto-saves as you go along. We can download our 3D model by exporting it. Use the Export button in the top right corner. We can save our object for 3D printing as well. Most 3D printers require .stl or .obj file, a fact which TinkerCAD already knows. TinkerCAD is also an easy way to edit existing 3D models. Normally, STL files like the ones we get from Thingiverse are difficult to edit. This is because an STL file stores the 3D object as a surface mesh of triangles, not just the shape we see. In TinkerCAD, however, we can treat STL files as regular old solids. To do this, create a new design and click Import. Then, we upload the file we want to edit. For this demo, I'm going to give an octopus a top hat. I found this octopus file on thingiverse.com. The file will appear on the work plane. You can scale it and move it around just like before. I'll walk through finishing my dapper octopus and talk about some handy tricks I used along the way. Using the curved arrows, I'll rotate the octopus so it's facing me. You can still scale and move it around like the shapes we made from scratch, too. We can add or subtract shapes and group or ungroup as needed. One helpful hint is to change the color of individual objects so you can tell what's been grouped. It'll make the octopus a nice lilac. Also, you can lock a shape to make sure you don't accidentally edit it. Now I can't move the octopus. Now to make the top hat. For the brim, I'll drag a cylinder in and make a rough estimate about the size I want it to be. Yeah, that looks good. You'll notice that the cylinder has a bunch of discrete edges. To round it out, use the pop-up box to increase the number of sides. I'll follow the same process with the rest of the hat. And here's where I'm going to start thinking about strategy. The easiest way to go back and edit my object later is to make the hat one object and the octopus another. So I'll align and group the hat together, or I bring it onto the octopus. Now it's time to place the hat on the octopus. Just as before, I'll align it so it's nice and centered, and then using the cone, I'll drag it up so it sits on the octopus's head. I think it'd be fun to give it a little tilt. So using the curved arrows again, I'll angle the hat and move it over using the arrow keys. Once I like how it looks, I'll group the hat and the octopus together. notice that once they're grouped, they become the same color. If you plan on 3D printing your object, these are some things to keep in mind. Size. Make sure your model will physically fit on whatever printer you're using. Complexity. Can the 3D printer achieve the detail you want? Will the shape break while printing? Are all of your shapes connected? Base surface area. Is there enough surface area in contact with the print bed to ensure that it won't come loose during printing? And lastly, overhangs. Are there a lot of overhangs? And will it require a lot of supports while it's printing? The next step is just to keep practicing. The more experience you get with TinkerCAD, the easier and faster it is to create and edit models. Try experimenting with some of the other shapes they offer. Some places to start might be keychains or miniature houses. Additionally, under the Learn tab on TinkerCAD, there are a lot of other tutorials to help you hone these skills. As you get more comfortable working with the program, you'll be able to create intricate and unique designs. Thanks for watching, and have fun designing!